lightning dove, apple blossom, cantaloupe.
So when we talk about contrast, there is some contrast here. There's a contrast in the pause length. The first one has a longer pause, like lightning dove, apple blossom, cantaloupe. Do you see that by making the pause shorter, you're adding some contrast? So I like that. I like the momentum with the list. It helps make the list feel a little bit more dynamic. To amplify that further,
Lightning dove, apple blossom, cantaloupe.
okay, greater. You could play around with pitch a little bit. She is playing around with pitch to a degree. She's like lightning dove. Then she goes down apple blossom. Then she goes high again, cantaloupe. Um, Maybe we could even go lower, like lightning dove, apple blossom, cantaloupe, like something like that. Just again, gives a more dynamic experience. You could play around with speed even more. So instead of playing around with speed in terms of the pauses, you could play around with speed in terms of the words, like lightning dove, apple blossom, cantaloupe. So like maybe speeding up, for instance, one of them. Okay. Um, just some examples of some elements of contrast that you could potentially do there with speed and also with pitch.
Lightning dove, apple blossom, cantaloupe. Shells,
Notice the pitch going from cantaloupe to shells.
cantaloupe. Shells,
Cantaloupe, shells, versus like cantaloupe, shells, or like cantaloupe, shells.
cantaloupe. Shells,
So we're flat. We're just doing the same pitch, just hitting the same key on the keyboard twice. I think it's hard with like readings, because it's very easy to how to put this. There is a system with readings. When you hear someone read aloud a text, you can hear this with audiobooks. You can hear this with people that have prepared a speech. This goes back to what I talked about with Yan, trying to remove some of the words from the script because people fall into a cadence. There's a cadence that we expect people to sound like when they read. There's a system that's like, oh, I'm giving a reading, so I need to talk like this. You don't have to adhere to the system. And it becomes easier to not to when you understand what the system is.
lightning dove, apple blossom, cantaloupe. Shells,
Lightning dove, apple blossom, cantaloupe. The neutral system where we, like, so it's like, shifting up the momentum and things like that makes it a more dynamic experience that forces your listener to keep up with you. And this is also where we just have the audio for this, but this is, what are we doing with our body with that? If you're giving a reading or if you're talking in front of a stage, what you do with your body is really important. What you do with your face is really important. I can make you feel what I want you to feel. Like if I do this, my audience is going to be happier. And then if I go serious, you're like, oh, this is heavy. If I'm a speaker, I control how you feel. That's a very important responsibility. So if I'm talking about a happier moment in my poem, then I gotta like smile. Or if I want you to feel happy before I send you down, I gotta do that. First of all, thank you guys for joining me in the pilot for the Magnet Lab. I'm very excited. So again, the Magnet Lab is going to be our opportunity to go more in depth to how we talk and how we communicate to people. Ideally, trying to be as expressive, as evocative, and as powerful as we can with our voices. Okay, it's our greatest tool. It's the greatest asset that we have in order for inspiring change. And so I want to make sure that when we talk, we're able to do it in a way that is, able to do what we want to do with our audience. I think a lot of times when we talk, we're not very intentional. We're not really thinking about the impact that we have on others. Whereas just taking a couple of moments to really kind of concentrate, like, oh, I want to convey this, I want to do this, just trying to speak with a little bit more intentionality and focus. And I think that a lot of this, what we go over, is not just going to make you more effective at communicating, even in like one language. I think this is going to be universal. So if English isn't your first language, I think there's still things you're going to take away from this to apply to your first language as well. That being said, this is the schedule. So each class, in general, aiming to be about 30 minutes. The goal is to try to get through 2 people's files in that time. And when I say get through files, we're not going to do the whole thing, because sometimes we're going to be dealing with, content that's long, So we're just going to try to identify some specific moments. Or, for instance, let's say, for instance, you want to do like a podcast. Let's say you want to do like a YouTube video. Let's say you're trying to practice reading aloud a poem or something like that. So what you can do is you can try to give me some direction, like, hey, I'm worried about the intro, I'm worried about the middle, I'm worried about the end, and then we can highlight that part. The last thing I'll say is that this is all going to be happening inside of a forum. Some of you are already members of my writing group, and it's going to be in that forum, but in a special section. And so what's going to happen in the future is that when you actually submit your videos or your audio files, you're actually going to make a post to include it. Okay, so you can create a post. So what's going to happen is we're going to have all the people's videos and things here. And in class, I'll just pick 2, to go over in the class. But then afterwards, we can also give asynchronous feedback as well. So if you see someone's video and you're like watching it and you have an idea about something that would be helpful for them, then you can leave, a comment for them too. Okay, so we'll have our in-person, our virtual in-person sessions, but then also asynchronously. You can say, hey, you can even like put questions like, hey guys, I made this quick little video. Any quick thoughts would be helpful or something like that. And then people can type. This is my typing motion. People can type on their keyboards and say, hey, this is what I would do. Okay, so everything will be here.